Book 8: The Man Who Stole the Moon, a manual of the impossible grasp. Introduction. The hunger of the hand. The prince was powerful. He was secret. He was invisible, but he still had a hand, and the hand wanted to hold. He wanted to take the truth and put it in his pocket. He wanted to own the silence. He did not know that you cannot own the wind. You can only be the sky. This is the story of how the prince tried to catch God and what happened when he opened his fist. Chapter 1. The Thief Who Stole the Moon. Anybody climbed the highest peak in the world. He carried a bucket made of iron and a heavy lid. It was night. The full moon was blazing in the sky, a circle of pure white fire. It is beautiful, thought anybody. It is the source of all light. I must have it. He waited until the moon was directly overhead. He placed the bucket on the snow. He filled it with water from a glacier. The moon reflected perfectly in the water. It floated there, shimmering, captured. I have it, anybody whispered. He slammed the iron lid onto the bucket. He sealed it with wax. He wrapped it in chains. I have captured the source. Now I am the owner of the light. He ran down the mountain. He ran into a deep, dark cave where no one could see his treasure. He sat in the blackness. Now, he thought, I will look at God whenever I want. He pried off the lid. He looked into the water. It was black. It was empty. It was cold. He looked up at the ceiling of the cave. Stone. He ran outside. The moon was still in the sky, huge and indifferent, laughing at him with white light. Anybody realized the terrible joke? You cannot steal the reflection without the source, and you cannot steal the source because it belongs to no one. He kicked the bucket over. The water spilled into the dirt. He sat in the mud, empty-handed, and for the first time, he actually looked at the sky instead of trying to put it in a box. Chapter 2. The Washerwoman of SHADOWS. Anybody lived in a house made of white marble. Every day at noon, a dark, ugly stain appeared in the center of the floor. Impure, anybody cried. I must clean this. My house must be perfect. He bought a scrub brush made of steel wire. He bought lye. He bought acid. He got on his knees. Scrub, scrub, scrub. He scrubbed until his knuckles bled. He scrubbed until the marble wore down. He scrubbed until there was a hole in the floor, but the stain remained, dark, sharp, unmoving. It is stubborn dirt, he wept. I am not working hard enough. I must purify harder. He scrubbed for 40 years. He grew old on his knees, hating the spot, fighting the darkness. One day he collapsed from exhaustion. He fell sideways, and as he moved, the stain moved. He froze. He lifted his hand. The stain lifted its hand. He realized it wasn't dirt. It was his own shadow, cast by the sun shining through the skylight. He had spent his entire life trying to scrub away the proof of his own existence. He threw the brush away. He stood up. He walked out of the light and the stain vanished. Chapter 3. The Butcher of Truth. Anybody decided he needed to know how the song worked. He captured a nightingale. It was a small brown bird, but when it opened its beak, it sang a song that made the stars tremble. The secret is inside, thought anybody. I will find the organ that makes the magic. He placed the bird on a silver table. He took a scalpel of cold logic. He cut the bird open. He took out the heart. It was a wet lump of muscle. He took out the lungs. They were pink sponges. He took out the larynx. It was a piece of cartilage. He laid the parts in a row. Sing, he commanded the parts. Silence. There was blood, there was meat, but there was no song. I have been tricked, screamed anybody. The bird was empty. The wind blew through the open window, whistling over the bloody tray. You fool, whispered the wind. The song is not a thing you can hold. The song is the friction of the spirit moving through the form. By taking the form apart, you have silenced the spirit. Anybody looked at his bloody hands. He realized that you cannot understand life by cutting it. You can only understand life by being it. Chapter 4. The King of the Empty Castle. Anybody became a warlord. I will conquer the void, he said. I will defeat the emptiness. He gathered an army of thoughts. He gathered weapons of will. He marched to the castle of the void. He kicked down the gate. Surrender, he roared. Silence. The courtyard was empty. He stormed the keep. Come out and fight, he screamed. Silence. The halls were empty. He ran to the throne room. He raised his sword. The throne was empty. There was no enemy. There was no gold. There was no king. There was just the wind blowing through the stone arches. Anybody swung his sword at the air. Swish. He stabbed the shadows. He screamed until his throat bled. But you cannot kill nothing, you cannot cut space. The silence swallowed his rage and gave nothing back. He dropped his sword, it clattered on the stone. The sound echoed clang, clang, clang. He stood in the center of the emptiness, trembling. He realized that the void cannot be conquered. It can only be inhabited. He sat on the floor, he stopped fighting. And the moment he surrendered, the castle became his. Chapter 5. The man who dug for the sky. Anybody fell into a deep, dark cave. I want the sky, he said. I want the blue. He looked down at the floor of the cave. I am a digger, he said. I know how to work. I will dig my way to the sky. He picked up a pickaxe. He struck the earth. He dug down. He moved tons of rock. He sweated. He bled. He dug a shaft that went miles into the crust of the planet. It gets darker the deeper I go, he complained. The air gets hotter. The pressure gets heavier. Where is the blue? Where is the light? He dug until he hit the molten core of the earth. The heat burned his face. The pressure crushed his lungs. I have failed, he gasped. I dug with all my strength and I found only hell. He collapsed in the dark. He rolled over on his back. He looked up. 10 feet above his head, past the hole he had entered, was the exit. He could see a patch of blue. He could see a white cloud passing by. He realized he had spent his life digging away from the freedom that was right behind him. He didn't need to dig. He just needed to turn around.